Hello everyone, my name is Truds and welcome to the channel. Today we are going to be discussing the upcoming return of the Trials of Osiris, and in particular some exotic armour pieces that you will probably want to consider using in your loadouts as you try to go flawless and visit the lighthouse. Now some of these exotics are going to be clear and obvious favourites, possibly ones that you're even using right now in the Crucible to gain an advantage on your unsuspecting foes. However, some of them will be so far out of left field that you probably forgot that they even existed, apart from the few dozen or so legendary shards you obtained for dismantling them. But, and that's a big but, some of them may just be a little bit more viable given some of the upcoming patch changes to subclasses in Season of the Worthy. Don't worry though, I'm not going to go into a deep dive of each armour piece, more so just a glossing over between the three classes just to maybe pique your interest and put some seeds of imagination as to the possibilities of some of the outliers in your collections. All of the gameplay in the background will be of a variety of exotics listed in the video, hopefully showing you some areas and situations where they can be used. First up, we are going to tackle the Warlock. Yeah, that's right, I'm a filthy Warlock casual, but what are you going to do about it? But anyway, for those who are planning on running your Warlock to the Lighthouse, which is the rightful place of all Warlocks personally, then you're instantly going to be reaching out for the Transversive Steps, which buffs your sprint speed and auto reloads your equipped weapons, or even the Ophidian Aspect Gauntlets, which will boost your handling and give you an extended melee range. Or, for the handheld Supernova army out there, the Controverse Hold will never leave your side, despite the upcoming nerf to the ability. Obviously, these are no-brainers, they all hold their own and offer a distinct benefit to Warlocks in PvP. But there's plenty that I think will offer certain benefits more akin to the style of gameplay you're going to come across in Trials. The rest of these are quite situational for Warlocks, but you can't go any more situational than the STAG. This literal beast will grant bonus rift energy when you're wounded, as well as creating healing rifts when you die. Now if you're like me, you'll probably spend a lot of time dead within Trials, possibly even the first to die every single round. And I mean, at that point, you're probably going to be playing solo as your team will probably just abandon you. So the STAG is going to be your friend. You'll look like Bambi on ice as you fall over dead into a cold pool of bonus healing for your allies to use as they revive you. This will help prevent them res snipes to an extent if your opponents with their shots, ultimately a very useful piece of kit for the not so try-hard player. The Getaway Artist is another left field choice, which I think might see some more prominence, especially amongst stacked teams, given the lethality of these gauntlets in the right hands. Converting your grenade into a supercharged Arc Soul auto turret to assist you alongside your gunfights might just be the difference between you coming out on top. Pair this with the Bottom Tree Stormcaller to become an even more arky boy. Lastly, and this one again is quite situational to you getting your super in any given Trials match, and given the short length of 3v3 matches, you'll be lucky to get one by the end of the match if you've played half decent. The Promethean Spur is one that I reckon everybody has overlooked when it was released in the Season of Dawn, but its perk, Ember of Light, creates healing and empowering risks when you defeat a combatant while Daybreak is active. Now I recently used this in the comp playlist this season, and despite it actually looking cool in game and lighting up with flames, it actually was fairly effective paired with the Top Tree Dawnblade. You can create rifts for your team to use as you push your opponents, and finally use the last one to create a forward point for yourself as your super finishes if you haven't finished off your opponents first. Again, it's going to have limited use in Trials, but if it's going to a final game in a tie match, it might just come in clutch. Onwards we go as it's time for the bounciest of all the classes, with the Hunter's exotic armour pieces you might want to consider for Trials. Now obviously Stompies are going to be a lot of players' first choice, their only choice, every single time, and for obvious reasons. The buff to movement it gives is far and above any other in the game. along with GWISIN Vest buffing your Spectral Blade super duration and Shards of GALANOR helping your Blade Barrage regen. Again, these are obvious and very popular choices for most players. But as for the others, there are a lot of options out there to suit certain gameplay styles, and can be very effective in short team game modes and requires a more civilised taste than that of the Ultra Sweatlord high jumpers. The GRAVITON FORFEIT is a great option as it gives a nice extension to the duration of the invisibility effects for the Night Stalker subclass. So a maxed out mobility stat will give you a bonus period of invisibility every 9 seconds, so you can be extra super sneaky. You sneaky hunter you. The next 2 chest armour pieces offer very specific benefits to your hunter abilities. The Ophidia Spaith grants 2 throwing knives. Now this can be linked with any gunslinger class, but the new weighted throwing knife for the bottom tree of the gunslinger is easily the number 1 ability to pair with this exotic. Pinging the throwing knife off a wall and one-shot headshotting any unsuspecting guardian in cover is always oddly satisfying. And being able to do this 2 times as well, how do they say that in French? C'est magnifique. We don't need any French for this next piece though, as the 6 Coyote's benefit of a second dodge charge speaks for itself. Again, if you have that maxed out mobility with this, then it gives you a double get out of jail free card if you're losing a gunfight out in the open lanes. I don't approve of this technique as your Warlock Overlord, but if it's going to give you a 1-up in Trials en route to the Lighthouse, then I'll let it pass this time. Finally, now we have the Crayon Eaters. Titans, sorry. And just like its more superior counterpart the Warlock, and less so the Hunter, it too has a number of exotics which are 100% the right choice all of the time. We're looking at you, One-Eyed Mask. However, a lot of PvP players love the Dune Marchers, and for good reason. It gives a huge buff to your sprint speed and also chains melee damage too. So if you're a shoulder charging, or if you're just stuck in a tight situation, which, let's be real, every Titan always is as it's just natural instinct to be in your opponent's face punching stuff, then Dune Marchers are a real smart choice. But you're not here for the obvious in-your-face choices, you're here for the weird, the wacky and why would I use that? Well, I'm about to tell you why. Now, given the upcoming change to the Titan Barricade, where it's getting a buff to its HP by 100 points, even though it's going to be more susceptible to special weapon damage, there's a few exotics which will greatly assist in these clutch res situations in Trials, and the Titan Barricade is going to be your best friend, apart from your Crayon. Sorry, what? First up, the Crest of Alpha LUPI. It has added benefit of looking cool, but as well as creating extra orbs from your super, it also heals you on popping the barricade. Now we all know in Trials, you're likely to be taking damage frequently, so what better way to heal yourself than to throw up a towering barricade. It stops incoming damage from your opponents and instantly starts to heal you. It's especially handy if you're charging in for the clutch res on your teammates while taking fire. A real Titan's Titan choice if you ask me. But if you'd just rather see the world burn, then this monstrosity is for you. KHEPRI'S Horn. Yes, you heard me right, KHEPRI'S Horn. It's another barricade bonus exotic which has 2 perks with Solar Rampart. Firstly, solar kills will recharge your barricade, so Luna's Howl will be a nice one here, but secondly and most importantly to the objective of burning the world is that on summoning the barricade it unleashes a blast of solar energy outwards. Now granted, this isn't as huge as you would imagine it to be, more like a party cracker going off ferociously, but again, in them clutch res situations when the stakes are high, popping this flaming barricade as your opponents push while you're trying to res your teammate might just make them think twice, especially in some of the tighter sections of the maps. And last up, we've got Aeon Soul. Nah, I'm just kidding with you there ain't nobody who wants that. We're actually going way out with this last one, and my pick is Ashen Wake. Personally, one of the cooler looking Titan exotics, if not a little weird looking at the same time. This actually boasts fusion grenades which will explode on impact instead of the short little delay charge time that they have, and you also get the fastball trait as standard so you can lob them a little bit further and faster too. Now they're not perfect, as a second grenade charge would be preferable, but as fusion grenades are sticky, I think this will work nicely in Trials, especially for those large hammer wielding Code of the Devastators out there. So look, there's a lot to consider when it comes to Trials, and your loadouts to try and achieve victory with your team whilst aiming to get to the lighthouse. Some of these exotics aren't perfect, don't worry, I know that, but some of them were instantly cast aside as they don't really fit in the meta builds we've seen up to this point. But given the change of pace elimination style gameplay brings, playing your life is vital, and if there's anything any item can do to increase your chances of survival, then that's got to be a bonus in my books. As with everything, ultimately it's your choice, but when Saint 14 beckons you to Trials, you better be ready. I hope that you found this compilation helpful in some way, and down below let me know in the comment section if you're going to consider using some of them, or if there's any others that you might consider using when Trials comes round. Thank you very much for watching, Guardians, and we'll see you next time.